This next congressman needs no introduction, but we are going to introduce him anyway. Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee, good to see you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank y'all for having me.
Before we get into the topic that I am just dying to talk to you about, I have to say, this jacket, you need to sell some of these replicas on your website. You can make a lot of money.
I don't know about that. It's Carhartt, and I met one of the vice presidents at a UT football game, and I told him, I said, I'm going to quit wearing your dadgum jacket. He said, why is that? And he said, because this is like the last one I found that's made in America. And he said, well, we're going to start making them in Tennessee. And I was like, great. So I got to go find the factory and find out. I just hadn't had time to check it out yet.
I'm sure you will find it. And one of my goals today was to have you say dadgummit, and you've already said it within 30 seconds.
Well, dadgummit, there you go. Matter of fact, that's going to be the name of my skateboards because ethics told me I can't name them Burchett boards because it would, whatever. Anyway, I can do insider stock trading, but I can't sell a dadgum skateboard.
Well, you know what? If you ever have a podcast or a segment on my show, that's what we can name it.
Right on.
Dadgummit show. Okay, now to the point. Aliens. I am eaten up with aliens and alien life. Very intrigued by it all. And you have some insider information about what's out there. What can you tell us?
Not everything I wished I could, but I think they're real. I don't, and I get people, oh, Bert, you say you're a Christian and all this stuff. I say, God created the heavens there, Genesis 1. Read Ezekiel. He saw the wheel and described something that you and I would describe as a flying saucer if you read the translation correctly. But, you go out at night, I look at the stars, and the light from those stars left there for the time of Christ. And do you think we are the best that God can do? We are one grain in a million beaches. Now, it's not about little green men and flying saucers as a member of government. It ought to be, what are we spending this dadgum money on, these millions and billions of dollars, maybe $1 billion. But yet I get briefed by some little punk with a man bun who tells me the president's on a need-to-know basis. I mean, that ought to be, as you're a member of the media, that ought to be a chilling effect. You ought to demand, what are we spending this money on? If somebody in one of our alphabet agencies says they don't exist, and then somebody in there says it does exist, there is a disinformation going on with this thing, and we need to get to the bottom of it. And this is exactly, this is one of those issues I think America needs to know. Over half the population believes that we're not alone. And again, I don't spend every waking day dealing with this, but you in the media sure ask a lot of questions, and you should. And I talked to the president about it, and I would hope that that he asks the right questions when he releases this.
Yes, he has asked for these files to be declassified so the American people and the world will know.
But let me warn you. The war pimps at the Pentagon and the rest of them are going to say, oh, this is a national security issue, and they'll try to hide it behind that, just like Chuck Schumer did. I had the bill for disclosure, 2 pages. His was 60 pages. He wanted to model it after the Kennedy assassination files. Scenario they did, and it's over 60 years, and we still don't know everything that happened to Kennedy, and that's what they want. I just said if it had anything to do with it, release it. Quit hiding behind national defense.
And this may be something that's slow rolling. It may not come out immediately. It may take some time. But on a recent interview, you talked about a meeting that was in your office and some of the information that was released to you. Is there a reason why they came to you with this information? Are they in Tennessee?
Well, I did have a group of, I'll just say you would know some of them, they're national figures that didn't want to come to my office but drove to my house and my little farm in East Tennessee, and they hooked their computer up to my television screen, which showed me some pretty fascinating stuff. But, yeah, I think people are intimidated. You got 11 members of this that have some knowledge, propulsion or metals or things have disappeared or died unexpectedly here of late, and the president even asked about it. And and my theory on that is, a lot of people ask me what I think, and this is just me. Say I was mob connected, and my family, not my mob family, but my own family, owned a restaurant that had a very, very famous chef. But we were afraid maybe he was thinking about selling some of our secret family recipes, say. What would you do? Would you knock him off? Probably not. You got a lot invested in him. You might rough up a few busboys. And not that these people are busboys, but I think it sends a clear message that something's going on, because Trump said we're going to We started these hearings. Trump said we're going to do this, and all of a sudden people start disappearing and dying mysteriously. That's some questions need to be answered.
Yes, they do, and we're going to stay on that as well because that's a very serious topic. I know we can have fun with alien life and UFOs and all of that, but at the end of the day, it is very serious. I wanted to ask you, too, because when this is released, one of the main questions Americans have is what's going on in Area 51. You think we'll ever know what's going on behind closed doors there?
I think if you go to Area 51, all you're going to get is a good T-shirt. And anytime Congress announces they're going to go somewhere, the U-Haul vans have already moved, if there's anything there. I think anything we have is in the hands of private industry. That way it's not FOIA-able. That means Freedom of Information Act. It's just like if it was that Ford Motor Company. I can't FOIA that. I can FOIA something from the FBI, allegedly, within reason, but private industry can't. I think everything that we have has been farmed out to that.
Okay, and we're going to have to wrap it up. I know you're very busy, but I do have one more question.
It's a great ring, though.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it. He does, and I love him. One more question. Are they walking amongst us? Are they smarter than us? Are they more empowering than us? I know you're laughing at me right now, but it's part of my job. I'm very intrigued by this.
I'll keep my real thoughts on this to myself, but I'm just not worried about it. If they have that kind of technology, I'm not. I answer to my Creator, and I answer to my wife and daughter, and I'm not really worried about all that. I've had some thoughts and some high-level discussion with military personnel about some of that, but traveling light years would be, to me, is almost an improbability. And quantum physics, here I am, and then people will make fun of me. I said this. Quantum physics is just basically something's vibrating over here, and then instantly it can be over here. And that, to me, proves God. Science proves that there is a God because it's an instantaneous situation. And so you just figure it out. I just want the president to release the stuff that I've seen, and I'll mostly be happy.
Yes, and we hope that he will, and he promises that he will. Congressman Burchett, good to see you. We have
Thank you so
Tim,
much.
good to see you. Got a few dead gummits in there. Talked about aliens, and we talked about the infamous jacket. So always a pleasure. Thanks for
skateboards.
and skateboards. Always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much.